I thought the Chicago Marathon was the weakest of the world marathon majors. Boston, New York, Tokyo, London, Berlin. Chicago? Flat, Midwest, just not that serious. I was completely wrong. If you approach this race the wrong way, it will fall apart on you late. More world records have been broken here than almost anywhere else. And it comes down to one thing about this city that I completely overlooked. I'll get to that in a second. But first, this is not a race you can just decide to run. 45,000 people run Chicago every year. Most of them didn't just sign up. They had to get in. If you think you're showing up and buying a bib, that's not how this works. I live in Chicago. I run these streets. I'm training for this race right now. And this is everything I wish someone had told me before I started. So here's the thing about Chicago that I genuinely did not know until I started training here. This city is completely flat. Like, not mostly flat, completely flat. There are no hills. There is nothing. It's just straight roads in every direction. Other races like New York or Boston force you to slow down with hills. Chicago doesn't. So people go out too fast and pay for it later. And I know that sounds like a bad thing, like boring. But for a marathon, that is everything. When your legs aren't fighting elevation, you run faster. Your body conserves energy it would have spent climbing. The course goes through 29 neighborhoods. Chinatown, Lincoln Park, downtown, all along the Chicago River. And the whole thing is basically a big giant loop around the city. That's why the course record here is one of the fastest in the world. That's why elites specifically target Chicago when they're going for a personal best. The city is built for speed. And I'll be honest, I'm not going for a time goal myself. I just want to finish. It's my first. But knowing this has actually changed how I thought about training here. Like every long run I do on the paths, every flat mile through the neighborhoods, that's not just a training run. That's literally the race course. I know these streets like the back of my hand, and that actually matters. Before you even think about the course, there's something you need to deal with first, and this is the part nobody explains well. So here's what surprised me most about Chicago and its marathon lottery system. This is not a race you just sign up for. You can't just go to a website and buy a ticket. It doesn't work like that. It is every year, usually in the fall, around November, they open registration for the following year's race. You pay a small, non-refundable entry fee, a couple $100 typically. You submit your name, and then you wait. And you either get in or you don't. If you don't, you get refunded. If you don't get in, you've got a few backup options. You can either run a charity like I'm doing. Keep in mind, you do get a guaranteed bib, but you are committed to raising a certain amount of money, usually a few $1,000s. But if you can't do it, you will be charged whatever credit card you use. Or you can eventually earn a guaranteed entry. And there are official travel packages that bundle your entry with a hotel. But that usually costs more and is genuinely useful if the lottery doesn't work out and you're flying in from out of town. Now, where to stay? Okay, so the race starts and finishes in Grant Park, right in the heart of the city. You have Millennium Park, the lakefront, all right there. So when you're picking where to stay, you want to be close to that area. And I mean that seriously, not just, oh, it's convenient. On race morning, you are getting up at like 4:30 in the morning. The city is already filling up with 45,000 runners and their families and friends. You do not want to be on the train or in an Uber trying to figure out where you're going in the dark at 5 a.m. Walk to the start. That's the goal. The Loop or downtown is your best bet. Hotels there put you within walking distance. But here's the thing. They book up fast, like sometimes close to a year in advance for the better options. Same urgency as the lottery registration. If you're serious about doing the race, treat the hotel the same way. Don't just assume you'll find something closer to the race weekend. If you want more affordable options, South Loop and River North are both reasonable. The Red Line will get you to the starting area, and if you're a little further out, but factor in race morning because logistics can oftentimes be hectic. And when comparing prices, saving $100 a night won't feel like a win if you're stressed out at 5 a.m. trying to find your corral and the starting line. One thing I'd suggest or genuinely recommend, whatever hotel or Airbnb or Vrbo, book and then route your destination. Walk the route to the starting line from that place you're staying. Do it once. Trust me, you'll thank me later. It sounds obvious, but on race morning when you're nervous and there are thousands of people all moving in the same direction, you'll be really glad you already know exactly where you're going. And this leads me to my next point, which is race weekend. It's not just Sunday that the race is held. In fact, so when you look at this, there's a whole event happening starting Friday and continuing into Saturday that you can't skip. The Health and Fitness Expo is at McCormick's Place, which is the big convention center just south of downtown. This is where you pick up your race bib and your participant shirt. And this is non-negotiable. You have to be the one that picks it up yourself, the bib. They will not let someone else do it for you. So if you're flying in, you need to be in Chicago by Friday or Saturday at the latest. But my advice is come Friday because Saturday gets crowded, the lines get long, and most importantly, you do not want to be on your feet for long lines for 3 hours walking around the expo the day before you run 26 miles. Go Friday, get your bib, look around for like 45 minutes, and then go rest. That's it. So it's the next day, race day. You're at Grant Park, and the start is in waves. You're assigned a corral based on your expected finish time. Elite runners go first. Then the wave starts rolling in intervals, so depending on it, you could start anywhere from 7:30 to 9 a.m. Get to Grant Park early, of course. Earlier than you think you need to, because you got the gear check line, you got the bag drop off, then you have to find your corral. All that takes longer when there are thousands of people doing the exact same thing at the exact same time. I've heard from countless people who've run this. 90 minutes before your wave starts is not too early. Don't cut it close on race morning. Be diligent and get there. The earlier, the better. Keep in mind, the finish line area is also in Grant Park. After you cross, not only will it be the most relieving feeling of your life, there's a chute where you get your medal, your miler blanket, as well as food and water. And if you have people coming to cheer, make sure there's a rendezvous point before you go and meet them. Pre-schedule this because you're not going to be able to find them. It's going to be finding a needle in the haystack to find your loved ones. Cell service in the finish area is basically non-existent when everyone has their phones out and is doing the exact same thing as the exact same moment. If you don't have a plan, you're not going to find each other, period. So let's get into the race day things that nobody puts in the official guide. And believe me, I've done my research and I haven't found it on YouTube or anywhere else. So I'm going to tell you this right now. This section is the one I actually care about you understanding the most. If there had to be one takeaway, it'd be this. In my training, I've done a few mistakes already. Most people don't even get far enough to make this mistake, but oftentimes they don't train distance-wise. They train more speed, and that's not the approach to take. You got to go slow and easy, like as if it's a piece of cake. I've gone out too fast on one of my long runs, and it felt awful later. It was like a 7-minute, 40-second pace per mile. That's too fast for me. And that's exactly why this course sets you up for failure if you go about it that way. Most beginner plans build up to a 20-mile run before race day. Keep in mind, this is an endurance training. You will speed up later in your training, but at the beginning, you need to take it easy. Also, the weather here, October in Chicago, can be genuinely anything. I've lived here my entire life. I know it could be either freezing, it snowed actually before, or it could be really humid and hot, beyond 70 degrees, which would be brutal for a 26-mile run. In 2007, the race was actually stopped because of the dangerous heat. If you didn't know that, Google it. So check the forecast obsessively the weeks leading up to it, because you need to have a plan for both scenarios. A lot of runners wear throwaway layers at the starting line, like a cheap long sleeve or hoodie, and they ditch it in the first mile or two once they warm up. Volunteers collect them and donate them to charity. Keep that in mind. And that's actually a really smart move for Chicago in October, because you genuinely don't know what you're walking out in that morning. By the way, warming up probably won't be so easy to do. That's why I mentioned warming up within the race. There will be too many people, and yeah, it's a different beast when you're trying to warm up for an entire marathon run rather than a 5K or an 8K. Let's talk about the race day environment. Water stations, crowds cheering on the course. This is especially pertinent, especially since every person I've talked to who's run Chicago brings this up. From miles 18 through 22 is where marathons fall apart mentally. You are distraught. You want to quit. And then Chicago makes that stretch survivable because there are people that you don't know, screaming at you the entire way to finish through every single neighborhood, motivating you. They're pushing you. That's not nothing. When your legs are done and your brain is telling you to stop, a crowd of strangers losing their minds for you, caring for you, actually helps. Water and Gatorade stations are about every mile. If you're using gels or any nutrition, use the same ones in training that you plan to use on race day. Do not try anything new on the course. I know that sounds obvious, but at mile 20, when you're desperate, you will grab whatever's there. Practice with your stuff in training. That's the rules. Let's talk about training. My honest experience. Okay, so real talk. I'm in the middle of training right now for this marathon. And I want to be straight with you about what it's actually like. I'm not trying to run a fast time. My goal is to finish. And once I took that time pressure off, training has become a lot more enjoyable. But it's still a significant commitment. More than I expected, not just because of the miles. Most beginners' plans are 16 to 20 weeks. The long runs are built gradually on weekends. You'll hit a 20-mile training run about 3 weeks before race day, before you taper. What's not on paper is how much the recovery takes. The sleep, eating, diet. I started taking sleep much more serious for the first time because I could feel the difference in my legs the next morning when I didn't. The thing I would tell anyone thinking about this is find a training plan and stick to it. Don't just follow it, stick to it. The progression exists for a reason. Your body needs time to adapt. The biggest mistake first-timers make is skipping the build-up and showing up under-trained. You'll feel fine until you don't, and by then, it's too late to fix it. So make sure you do the work and make sure you don't work too hard. And here's the thing I actually didn't expect. Training in Chicago, running these streets, the same neighborhoods, the race goes through, it changes how you think about the city. I've run past some of these buildings probably 1,000 times at this point. On race day, that familiarity is going to matter a lot. Like I said, I just want to finish, but I'm genuinely looking forward to it in a way I didn't expect when I signed up. And if you've been sitting on the idea of doing a marathon, honestly, take this video as your sign to just start. The registration window, the training plan, the hotel, everything about this race rewards people who plan ahead. Just start now. That is half the battle. So, is Chicago worth it as a marathon? Here's my honest take. If you want to run your first marathon, or if you want to run a world major, or just want a reason to spend a great weekend in one of the best cities in the country, or even commit to helping a good cause, without a doubt, yes, this is the best thing you could do. The course is forgiving. The crowd support is unlike anything else. The city already knows how to host this because they've been doing this for decades. And that flat course, I was sleeping on at the beginning of this video. Believe it or not, that might not end up being the reason someone watching this video runs the best race of their life. So I'll have everything linked in the description, the official registration page, the spectator guide, training resources I've been using. And if you're running Chicago this year in 2026, drop a comment. I want to know. And by the way, this works for every year because guess what? For the most part, the course or the race doesn't really change too much. It's pretty consistent. So do give a thumbs up if you like this video and comment, subscribe for more. And I hope to see you and see myself in the finish line and make sure we can make a difference as I am running to fundraise to support women suffering through cancer. And I hope this will make a difference. And I believe that you have the potential to do it as well. Everyone does. So subscribe if that's your thing. I'll see you out there and we will travel together the world. Coffee Travels signing out.